Hi everyone, this is an Amalgia video for Animal Crossing New Horizons on Nintendo Switch, and today we're going to be talking about hybrid flowers. I originally wasn't going to do a hybrid flower video because of how late this is going up and how far the game's progressed already, but somebody asked for it specifically, so here we are. I also don't normally ask people to subscribe, but since only a very small amount of people who view the videos actually subscribe to the channel, I may have to start. If you find any of the Amalgia guides helpful or any of our videos interesting, please subscribe. It really helps us out. Alright, with that out of the way, let's get into it. Hybrid flowers have a number of uses. Hybrid flowers look cool. If they're fully grown and you pick them and then water them consistently, they'll regrow within 2 days, so it can give you some source of income. And trying to collect all the hybrid flowers that the game has to offer is actually one of the more difficult challenges in Animal Crossing New Horizons at this time. Let me get into some general information first. The point of this hybrid guide is to be a blend of simplicity and success. There are many guides out there that show very complicated ways in order to increase the rate at which you can get specific flowers, but I found most of the time that it's not really necessary to do all that. Much of the time, hybrid flowers that spawn at very low rates, like 6.25% or so, can be gotten relatively easily just by using a simple strategy and making it up with volume. Also, in addition to hybriding, there is a way to clone flowers in Animal Crossing New Horizons. If you have flowers next to each other and they can breed with one another and you water them, there's a 19.9% chance that it will trigger the state where they can breed a flower. By contrast, if a flower you water has no flowers around it on any adjacent or diagonal tile, then it has a 14.8% chance of creating an identical clone of itself. While the rate at which a flower clones itself is always lower than the rate at which two flowers breed with each other, it's actually faster because you're only needing to use one flower in order to create the clone instead of the two that would be needed for one chance with the pair. Something else that Animal Crossing veterans are probably aware of, but people who are new to the game might not be, is that flowers that look the same, like two orange cosmos for example, may have different genetics in them and may not be the same flowers even though they look identical. The focus on this guide is going to be simplicity, so I'm not going to drag you down into the nitty-gritty of all the genetics of all the paths that I'm going to show you for making the hybrid flowers. You do need to be aware of this distinction though, because when we start hybriding the flowers, you'll need to know which ones come from which parents and which ones came originally from seeds that you bought in the store. This means that if you have flowers in town already and you don't know how they respond or who their parents are, it's better to put them off to the side and start over from scratch by using seeds that you purchased. I'm not saying these flowers are useless necessarily, but it is better to just place them all in a quarantined section, and if you want to try the hybrid paths with them, then do that, but just make sure that they're not by your other flowers that you actually know the parent lineage of, because they'll mess with your results. One other note, as you can see in this video, there used to be Nook Miles Islands that had different types of hybrid flowers on it, and these hybrid flowers used to have special genetics, and even in some guides online now, you see that they recommend using the hybrid flowers because it made it easier to get final stages of hybrid flowers for specific types. Not only was the problem that it was tied to your birthday in a very strange way, but early on, Nintendo actually removed the ability to be able to find these hybrid flower islands, so they're no longer available. So you can't count on finding one in order to get the rare hybrids that you want easier. With that out of the way, let's talk about the two most important things that you need to know for getting all the hybrid flowers. The first, as I mentioned before, is knowing what flowers came from which flowers and keeping them all in separate sections of your island so that you don't get flowers confused with one another. The other most important thing for speeding up the hybriding process is knowing that having friends come over and visiting your island, when they water your flowers, it dramatically increases the rate at which they both clone and hybrid. This has to be done with characters from other towns. If you have multiple characters in your town, they won't be able to get this bonus by watering flowers multiple times. To put things in perspective, even having one friend come over and water your flowers more than doubles the rate at which they would hybrid and clone. After that first friend, every subsequent friend that waters the same flower would add another 13 to 15% roughly, but it caps at a maximum of 5 visiting friends. When you and 5 friends have watered the exact same flower, it has a maximum cloning bonus rate of 80%, and a maximum hybrid rate of 96% if it's in a pair. When flowers are watered, they have a silver sparkle, but if you manage to water a flower and have 5 friends water it, it'll show you that you have the max hybrid rate because the sparkle around the flower will be golden. If you have 5 friends that are all willing to, come over to each other's towns and everybody take turns watering each other's flowers, that's cool and you should definitely go with that. But if you don't have a lot of people that you can tap, just keep in mind that as long as you can get one person to come over and water your flowers, you basically like double the rate at which you're hybriding and cloning things. And that is the single biggest thing that you can do for yourself in trying to speed things up. Finally, let's talk about how to arrange flowers for your hybriding pairs. I find that these diamond configurations work very well because no matter which flower picks which flower to hybrid with, they always have a partner. The drawback is that it takes up a lot of space in order to keep them separate, and I've used less efficient configurations like this or this in order to just make use of the limited space my town has. There are many complex flower arrangements for hybriding that people have online that they say are optimal, but just remember that the best thing is always going to be what you can fit in your town and have the most quantity of, and still keep track of where the new hybriding flowers are coming from. Okay, with all the general information out of the way, let's get to the specific flowers. First up is tulips. The kinds of seeds that you can buy for tulips are seed whites, seed reds, and seed yellows, as seen here. Which flowers are available to you in the Nookling shop depends on season most of the time, but you can get around this a little bit because when Leaf comes to your town, she will have out of season flowers for sale, so you could stock up on them. All of the hybrid flower paths I show you are going to originate from seeds because they have specific genetic combinations, and I'm going to refer to them as seed white, seed red, seed yellow, and so on. Also, when I refer to the rate at which hybrids are made, I'm not talking about the hybrid rates that we talked about earlier from watering and having friends water. I'm talking about once that hybrid state is triggered, the rate at which that pair will produce the hybrid you're looking for. For example, let's say you had 5 friends come water and you got that 96% hybrid rate, but that pair that you have the 96 hybrid rate with has 3 options of things it could make, and even after triggering the hybrid rate, the thing you want may only be a 6.25% chance of getting it, where the other options might be 25% or 50% for the flowers you didn't need. Okay, first up, a seed red tulip and a seed yellow tulip. Once the hybrid state is triggered, they will create orange tulips at a 50% rate. The oranges created from seed parents in this way create purple tulips with each other at a 6.25% rate. 2 seed red tulips make black tulips with each other at a 25% rate. Seed red plus seed white tulips make pink tulips at a 50% rate. The hardest tulip to make is the purple tulip, but there's some good news that helps speed this process up. All your oranges that came from seed reds and seed yellows, they not only can make purple tulips inherently, but any orange tulips that they make can also be included with the other oranges to make purples at a higher rate. This is one of the few times where you don't have to discard the extra flowers and you can actually use them to help speed up the process. Moving on to pansies, the 3 types you can buy as seeds are seed whites, seed reds, and seed yellows. A seed white, breeding with a seed white, makes a blue at a 25% rate. Now take the blues that you get from the seed white parents and pair each with a seed red. This will create special hybrid reds at an 100% rate. Make sure to keep these special hybrid reds separate from your seed reds so you don't get them confused. 2 hybrid reds make purple pansies at a 6.25% rate. Also, as an added bonus, take any blues that these hybrid reds create and put them in their own quarantined section near each other. It'll be a mix of blues that can make more purples and some that can't, but it's worth watering them every day just for that added extra chance as long as you're not confusing them with your other blues. And lastly, seed yellow pansies and seed red pansies make orange pansies at an 100% rate. Of the pansies, the purple ones are the hardest to get, but as long as you can make enough hybrid reds and keep them separate from everything else, they should prove no problem. Next up is cosmos. The ones you can buy as seeds are seed whites, seed yellows, and seed reds. For cosmos, a seed red and a seed yellow will make an orange at an 100% rate. The problem here is that there's two different types of orange, but both types are capable of making black, so just take all of the oranges that these parents produce and put them next to each other. The orange cosmos created from the seed red and the seed yellow parents will create black cosmos at anywhere from a 4.69 to a 6.25% rate. And lastly, seed reds and seed whites will make pink cosmos at an 100% rate. The black cosmos are the hardest of the group to get, but it's really not that bad considering how easy it is to make the oranges that you need in order to spawn them. Moving on to lilies, the ones you can buy are seed reds, seed whites, and seed yellows. Lilies are probably the easiest of all the hybrid flowers to make. Breeding seed reds makes black at a 25% rate and pink at a 25% rate. But you should also note that the other 50% of the time, seed reds produce a red lily, but that red lily is identical to the seed reds genetically, so you can just use that with the original seed reds in order to make more black and pinks. Seed reds and seed yellows make oranges at a 50% rate. Also, while it's probably just easiest to get pink lilies from the seed red pairs while you're trying to make black lilies, if for some reason you wanted to speed up how fast you can get pink lilies, a seed red with a seed white makes a pink lily at a 50% rate. Black lilies are technically the rarest of this group, and if for some reason you're having trouble with them, just remember that you can take your oranges that are made from seed red and seed yellows and pair the oranges together in order to make black lilies at an 18.25% rate or so. Pairing orange lilies isn't going to be faster than the seed red pairs for getting black lilies, but as long as you do them in conjunction, it's just more chances, so that'll help. Next up is hyacinths. The ones you can buy are seed reds, seed whites, and seed yellows. The video for the hyacinths was a little dim, so it made telling the blues and purples apart a little difficult, so I used one of these brightening filters. Starting at the top, seed reds and seed yellows make oranges at a 50% rate and more yellows at another 50% rate. Take any oranges produced in this way and pair them together. So hybrid oranges with hybrid oranges and hybrid yellows with hybrid yellows. The hybrid oranges from the seed red and the seed yellow parents will make blues at a 12.5% rate and purples at a 6.25% rate. Putting the hybrid yellows together from the seed red and seed yellow parents will make blue at a 4.69% rate and purple at a 6.25% rate. And lastly, seed reds plus seed whites make pinks at a 50% rate. Purples are the rarest of the hyacinths, but since the hybrid oranges and yellows that you need in order to make them are so easy to make and so plentiful, it should be no time at all before you get your hands on everything you need. Next up are windflowers. The ones you can buy are seed reds, seed whites, and seed oranges. Getting all the hybrid windflowers can be a little tricky, but this is the strategy that worked best for me. Seed reds plus seed oranges make pink at an 100% rate. Seed whites together make blues at a 25% rate. Now take the pinks that you made from the seed red and seed orange pairs and the blues you made from the seed whites and pair them together to make special hybrid pinks. Those special hybrid pinks make purple windflowers at a 6.25% rate. Purple windflowers are the hardest of this group to make, but as long as you can keep all your stages separate, you should be able to get them no problem. Next up are mums. The ones you can buy are seed reds, seed whites, and seed yellows. Seed reds with seed yellows make hybrid yellows at an 100% rate. Now put the hybrid yellows together to make green mums at a 6.25% rate, but they'll also make purple mums at a 12.5% rate. Keep an eye on those purple mums that you get from this hybriding process because if you put those together, they'll make green mums at a 25% rate. Lastly, seed reds and seed whites make pink mums at an 100% rate. Now let's talk about roses. First, I'm going to talk about everything except the blue rose, and then I'll save the blue rose for last because it's by far the most complicated thing, and it's the only thing that I can't really simplify into an easier strategy. You can buy roses from the shop as seed reds, seed whites, and seed yellows. Seed reds together make black roses at a 25% rate, and they can make pink roses at a 25% rate. Seed reds and seed yellows make oranges at a 50% rate. And seed whites paired together make purple at a 25% rate. Now let's talk about gold roses. Black roses from anywhere, of any kind and any genetics, can make gold roses, but you need a golden watering can in order to do it. The golden watering can is obtained by having a perfect town, and then Isabel gives you a DIY for it. If you need help getting a perfect town, check out my perfect town guide on the channel. The golden watering can has some tricky mechanics. Despite watering a 3x3 range, so 9 squares, it only triggers the golden rose ability of whatever black rose is directly in front of your character. The black roses do not need to be paired with other black roses in order to make gold. Even single ones can produce gold once you've watered it with the golden watering can. A gold rose will have a certain chance of sprouting up around it once the hybrid state has been triggered by, you watering it and your friends coming over to water it to up the hybrid chance. You can keep watering the black roses every day with the golden watering can, but if you're trying to conserve gold, just know that watering it at least once will trigger the ability to spawn a gold rose, and then you can keep watering it with a regular watering can until it finally produces one. I've been in a situation where I've watered a black rose and then not watered the black roses at all for weeks, and then had it rain, and then a black rose finally produced a gold rose. Keep in mind that a black rose needs to trigger its hybrid or cloning state in order to be able to produce a golden rose at a low chance. This means that as long as you water a black rose with a golden watering can, it will still help to have your friends come over and water it with their regular watering cans to up the rate at which you can get the hybrid state. Also, picked golden roses sell for 1,000 bells each, which means that if you had 100 gold roses in your town and picked them all and sold them, you'd make 100,000 bells every 2 days. Blue roses also sell for 1,000 bells each, but it is infinitely easier to get golden roses than it is blue roses. And with that in mind, let's talk about how to get blue roses. There are many methods to get the blue roses. Unfortunately, the simplest methods are not the best. There's plenty of room for debate over which method is the best for getting blue roses based on how much space you have in your town to dedicate to it, but the one that I'm going to show you was the one that generated blue roses the fastest between all the ones that I tried. I'm going to break the method down for you in 5 steps, and for some reason I've decided to mark which step we're on by how many jellyfish are next to the flowers. Alright, here we go. Seed white flowers plus seed yellow flowers make hybrid white flowers at a 50% rate. Seed red plus seed yellow roses make oranges at a 50% rate. And lastly, for step 1, seed white paired with seed white makes purple at a 25% rate. Now for step 2. Take the hybrid white roses and the hybrid purple roses from step 1 and put them next to each other in order to get second stage hybrid purple roses. Once you have these step 2 hybrid purple roses, pair them with the orange roses that you got at the end of step 1. If you have the space, I recommend using little diamond formations like this to keep the orange roses and purple roses spaced apart so you can keep track of what they produce easier. Something to keep in mind is that the hybrid purple roses that were created in step 2 are not all the same. There is actually a way to test the purple roses, but it's extremely cumbersome and you don't need to do it. This is going to be step 3, but all you need to know is that any oranges that these purple and orange pairs produce are what you're looking for. As I alluded to in the last step, step 3 is those orange and purple pairs making oranges. Also, you should take any reds that you get from this stage of the orange and the purples and put them off to the side somewhere. There's going to be different types of reds mixed together, but you should just create lines or sections of them and then water them on the very low off chance that they produce a blue rose. It's something like 1.2%. This is just an added bonus in the process. It's not the main way we're going to get the blue rose. Or you can just throw these reds away if you think that you, one, don't have the space, or you think that it's going to confuse you with your other roses for the later steps. Now take those hybrid orange roses from step 3 and put them together in order to have a 6.25% chance to make blue roses and a 12.5% chance to make extra red roses. Now it's the extra red roses that we're going to use for stage 5, but if you manage to get a blue rose out of this step or, even the earlier step, then congratulations. And lastly, step 5, take those hybrid red roses you got from the oranges in stage 4 and put them together to have a 25% rate to make blue roses. And with that, that's all the hybrid flowers. If you're still with me at this point, then you're a trooper and you really have what it takes to get all the hybrid flowers in the game, including the blue rose. Once you have a blue rose, the best way to get more is to keep the blue roses separate from everything else and then water them and have friends come over and water them too so that you can try to clone them. Also, keep watering those end stage red roses that you had because they have a 25% rate to make more blues. Anyway, I hope this video helps you fill your town with all the beautiful hybrids you need, and thanks for watching.